Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got a 3v3 average Joes for you guys and gals today because you've all been so well behaved. Before we crack on with that, quick message going out to the community. You've only got about 8 days or so left, I believe, guys, to test out the new balance changes that have been proposed for 3622 in the balance test mod. Why is it important? Well, as a community, we're of course in charge of balancing and developing the game, and as a wider demographic when it comes to polling, if the wider public haven't got a decent idea of the proposed changes, then they can't possibly hope to vote on them effectively. And also it's important that you have the ability to slam people on the forums when they propose ideas you don't like. No, I'm kidding, that's not the point, but it is kind of fun. On to today's game. It's going to take place on Whitefire. So let's head on over there and see how they're going to get on. Alrighty then. So, very simple Whitefire. We're going to bisect it down the middle. We've got Team 1 we're going to call up here, and then Team 2 down here. Taking a look at the teams and locations as we zoom in on the top. Up here at the top left, we've got Sarodilov. He's going Seraphim in the grey corner, opening first land. And then the first of his teammates over here is Naoto, so it's definitely an Asian feel. It must have been that time of night when this was played. And he's going UEF. And then the final member of Team 1 is Wazzle, which I think is an awesome name. And he's going Blue Cybran on the forward island. And then down to Team 2, we've got Russian Geek. He's going UEF in the orange corner, opening first land. And then down here at the bottom left, we've got Yuki. He's in the breast cancer awareness pink corner, going UEF, going first land as well. And the final member of Team 2, where is his ACU? He's gone for a wander over here. It is Skyrund. I don't know what that means. Answers on a postcard what the significance of Skyrund is. He's in the green corner and he's going UEF, and that is how the teams stack up. Whitefire, one of my all-time favorite maps. If you haven't heard already, guys, or I haven't said it in previous casts, I haven't done many of these. I don't really know why. I think I'm right in saying that it might just have scraped into the vanilla maps in section of the ladder pool, so we should be seeing a lot more of it if that's the case. For the 1v1 ranked ladder, I'm pretty hopeful of that. I don't quite like it as much as the 1v1 format. I don't quite like the 1v1 format as much as the 3v3 format. I just think it's a very interesting game, and of course it's just not because of that perfect bisect down the middle. It's lots of water. It's not generally a T1 spam fest unless of course everyone goes Seraphim and cracks open the Zooey. So what are we looking at here? Yuki's down here. He's been picking up a little bit of mass, and that's of course another feature of Whitefire. You have these tremendous wrecks, T3 factories and T2 beached naval units. Lots and lots of mass there in form of reclaimable wrecks, which can get your eco going. Not quite seeing that from Russian Geek as yet. So usually the first thing I like to do if I'm studying this position down here is get some engineers over to this little bay, because there's so much there for you to pick up. You can see that Sarodilov has got the right idea. He's already got an engineer in place. Doesn't want to waste any mass, of course. There's no real hurry to get stuff to those wrecks right at the beginning. Not like it would be, say, on a ISIS or Setons, where it's going to be a race with your opponents, because you're generally not going to be expecting engineers to cross that lake to try and steal it, because by the time it gets there, you'll have something ready to blow it up. But indeed, we are seeing the obligatory Zooeys coming out from Sarodilov. He's queuing them up here on the coast, potentially ready to bring them across and harass either Yuki or Skyrund. Skyrim doing. This is always the worst position. I hate starting on these forward islands because it really does kind of make you a primary target. Usually get some kind of floating BS coming across the water and taking you out on. Skyrim there doing the truffle shuffle as he's upgrading that mechs to T2. Someone needs to make a Harlem Shake video with that as the opening sequence. Just planting ideas there. Actually, no, please don't. I think we've all seen enough Harlem Shake for now. But bombers out from Naoto over the top of Russian Geek's base. going primarily after the factory. I think he should probably focus on the power and build capacity first. It's much more vulnerable than the main building. There are a few archers dotted about the place, which are going to offer some kind of defense. The first bomber looks to have plummeted out of the sky for Naoto. There goes a second one. Things starting to kick off already here in minute 6. There's a little bit more defense happening air-wise for Team 1. Wazzle patrolling his own skies, also getting some scouting out over the top of Yuki's base. He is well in the water, away from any possible danger with his commander. Is he actually submerged there? That's the question. That is a tough one to see. I think his head might just be out of the water there, not quite deep enough in that bay. But answers on a postcard. If you know the answer to that one, I'd be very intrigued. Russian Geek has moved forward with his ACU though, and he's got a naval factory online. It's always a toss-up whether you put it, when you're studying this position, whether you put it out here at the forward coast or whether you stick it in the bay. But I don't know, I kind of generally like to have it here and queue my navy up here. It stops stuff coming in and attacking the main base, because your starting location is pretty darn close to the shore. You're very vulnerable to cruiser fire if you lose your front base there, and if they can pin you into your bay here, you can get the odd cruiser just sitting down here wrecking your eco. Not really in a position to do anything about it. But we have a 3 subs or so and a frigate out for Yuki, just patrolling in front of Wazzle's base, who at the moment seems to be ecoing pretty hard. He's managed to get a shield up and running, so no early snipes to be feared from for him. But we've got some Zuis on the move from Sorodolov. Looks like he's queuing them up in formation over on the left-hand side, right in front of his main base. Mini gang, he says in chat. Not sure what the reference is to that. Surprised though that it does seem to be at least in English, I think. Perhaps not. I don't know what any of this means, but Zui's winding their way across the drink, gonna get cut off by the Thunderhead. And Ray's subs, of course, they don't have a lot of damage on that deck gun. It's enough to put some fire on the Zuis. If they're microed well, they can avoid any kind of retaliatory strikes. Vitally important that the Zuis aren't microed at all, really. They need to just make landfall as quickly as possible to start getting over to the island, start getting away from this navy. Micro, every time you get that micro, they get that pause while they change command, and then that leaves them X amount more vulnerable and slows up their progress. You see how few Zuis have actually made landfall compared to how many set out. But it is enough, however, to start putting some fire on the hydrocarbon. That's going to go down. We'll see how that affects Skyrun's power situation. He's on the bread line, or just above, when he's producing stuff. If he loses too many of these T1 P-Gens, could be in a little bit of a spot of bother. Few of them going down there. It's like a kid at Christmas who's found his way into the dining room before he's allowed. He can snatch a few bunch of things, but you're never sure what to go to. You've got a limited amount of time before that ACU or whatever's defending is going to knock out the rest of your artillery. It's like, oh my god, what do I kill first? Lots of bombers, lots of air factories, in fact, online for Sorodolov. All queuing up at the back here. Interesting to see what he makes of that. He's also got his commander on an upgrade. See what that is in just a moment. Hazard a guess, but I would probably suspect that that's a T2 engineering suite upgrade. Many of you will be wanting me to go look for certain, but I'm not going to, because I can't be bothered. Wazzle on the main island, just building away. He's not really building anything of any great importance, except for his T2 naval factory that's working on some Salem destroyers, or a Salem destroyer, which will give them some versatility on the sea. But it looks like an attempt to shoo away these T1 naval forces of Russian geeks is in progress from NATO. All he needs to do is just move forward a bit, and Russian geek capitulates, yields that little section of sea and moves back. We are seeing some T2 navy from Russian geek as well, in the form of the Coopers, the torpedo boats for UEF. Not the most effective unit in my opinion, but it is what they've got. Not having any T2 submarine, of course. UEF Navy, of course, bolstered by the Bulwark T2 shield boat. It's their key unit when it comes to their naval warfare, and that could be important in this game, judging by the fact that every single person on Team 2 is going UEF. No faction diversity at all to be shown on Team 2, whereas Team 1 we've got one of each. So many bombers queuing up here at the top for Sorodolov. He needs to get his inties in the air, as we've got a few Janus coming across the water from Yuki. They need to get shot down. And the cat is out of the proverbial bag in terms of those bombers, if he was planning to do something secretive with them. They are now well and truly scouted. Those Janus look to be taken care of. Eventually the last one goes down, but a whole new wave comes in from Skyrund. Looks to be about 7 or 8 of them. Potentially do some damage, but finally the bombers take off, head immediately across the water to Skyrund's base. Wonder how much of that is down to the latest wave coming in. It's sort of like, alright, you've just made yourself a target. Bombers coming in, taking so much damage, getting a lot of bombs away. Takes out a fair few power generators, but I'm not sure that broke even on mass. In fact, I'd definitely say that wouldn't have. And he would have utilized a lot of power getting those in place, just to get insta-shot down by some flak. And now there's a governor on the field for Yuki. Life just got very painful indeed for Sorodolov, or Sorodolov I should say. And that looks like a T3 mass point that just went down. Ouch! And another one here that's taking fire. This is going to be very painful indeed. Double teaming going on for the more stranded player on the left hand side, but we've got some gunships coming in from Naoto, got some Stingers. Going to go to town on the Coopers. Of course, no anti-air capabilities of their own to see them off, so a counter-attack happening over here on the right hand side. We'll go to split screen quickly to keep an eye on this base bombardment at the same time as this attack. That T3 mass point still alive up there for Sorodolov. Slight mistake there in changing target. He's gone for the T2, managed to get rid of that. Meanwhile, Stingers unmolested more or less, taking down another, or a naval factory I should say, and working on another one. Engineers coming into the fray. Did see some flak coming on. You can see there's an air cleaner right there. Still there are Janus from Skyrund hovering overhead. Meanwhile, the Stingers on the right hand side coming right over the top of Russian Geek's base. Bring that back out to full view on the left so we can keep an eye on what's happening. Stingers trying to pick a fight with the air cleaners first. Generally it's best to avoid them if you're at T2 gunship stage. They will make a mess of you. But of course we've got some cruisers, or a cruiser and a Salem destroyer from Wazzle, and they're going to have very good reach. So the two side players taking a lot of fire, and the governor moving over, firing a few missiles at Wazzle. First of all, he's taken his T1 naval units out to the side. He's just kind of bombarding from shore, not doing a great deal of course because there's pretty good shield coverage there from Wazzle. Governor still in place to the left, still working on Sorodolov's base. He's got virtually nothing left. Still haven't managed to get much TMD up. He's got a couple in place, just about keeping that recently reconstituted T2 mass point alive. Can't believe he's managed to hold on to that T3 mechs at the back. That definitely would have been a choice target as far as I'm concerned. But pressure kind of relinquishing, but we've got a summit out for Yuki. So Yuki's going to town on the naval front, slowly creeping its way across to the top left hand side of the map. He's also starting work on an Atlantis. Could make life very difficult. He's the man to beat. Look at this outrageous line of T1 P-gens. That is some kind of click and drag, some long appendage going across the map. But it seems to be very much attacks for both teams centered on the edges of the map. Team 2 attacking up the left flank, Team 1 attacking down the right. And almost completely decimated Russian geek's base now. Very little left. He's had to move right to the back here. He's got a T2 factory in place and a couple of engineers repairing his commander, who's been down to around 6,200 HP. Srodolov says something in chat. Don't know what that stands for, unfortunately. Linguistical skills are low at the best of times. And a little bit of countering going on, or attempt at countering going on with Skyrund against these forces from Wozzle. Problem is there is a cruiser in the mix. It's generally bad for the health of all slower than ASF aircraft. But whoosh! As a whole load of forces engage on the left-hand side, from the left-hand side from Yuki. Lots of Coopers. But have they met their match in terms of those Barracudas? T2 submarines from Cybran. Don't think so. I think they're just going to have enough to finish off the Barracudas and then start working on the T1 subs, but it's not going to be too long before they get dealt with by those Valiants. And Summit just sitting up here pummeling the shore. There's virtually nothing Srodolov can do about this. Very little left in terms of base. You see the artillery shells raining down. Look like they're going after his comm there. Got a governor coming in from Naoto as well. But Team 1 just unable to get any kind of security in the sea. And that is either a Control K or a nice final shell from that Summit. It's finishing him off. Srodolov out of the game. It's looking too great at the moment for Team 1. And an attempt to finally intercept this Summit from Wozzle. It's brought in a bunch of Barracudas to take it down. 3 of them in place. Well, the question is, how good is he? Will he be able to ground fire them? 2 of them go down with 1 volley. Yes, he will. And this is the problem. Wozzle not microing his Barracudas, leaves himself very open indeed to ground fire. If he could just move them a little bit closer, he could have been in a good situation. But we've got a bunch of broadswords coming in now from Naoto, going after those Coopers. Of course, very vulnerable, but ASF's on the field from Yuki. So Yuki being very dominant in both sea and air. Now finally some Riptides out from Russian Geek. He hasn't been able to do much since his base got pretty badly hammered, but he should be able to take down the cruiser and these 2 Valiants with these Riptides. Potentially those Salems as well. They definitely need to start focusing on the Riptides. Slight spazzing out there from the Salem. Potentially costed its life. I think it will. And the next one runs into the field of view from the Atlantis. We've got some ASFs now out for Skyrund. And still, they're trying to take down this Summit with these Barracudas, but it's just too easy. Look at that. Couple of shells, and down they go. And now he's got free reign to start opening up on Wozzle's base, but our Monkey Lord is very nearly finished. That could potentially turn this around. You see Wozzle has expanded up to Srodolov's old base. Has he expanded? No, that was just given, so auto give is on. Going to come down to how well this is microed. Atlantis should probably submerge itself. It's little or no use there at all, and that Monkey able just to hit it really hard with the microwave. Has strayed a little bit too far into the water, needs to back out. Finally Yuki recognizes the threat. If only he had dropped that down a little earlier. Oh no, down goes the Atlantis. If he could deal with anything, it'd be nice for him to deal with that Summit, but it looks like he's just going to ignore it and try and inflict some damage. It's probably the right call at this point. Something needs to be done to stave off these naval attacks from Yuki. Definitely the guy at the moment who's causing the most trouble, but Skyron's ACU is incredibly close to the water. That's very unfortunate timing. As long as Wazzle is paying attention, there's no reason why he shouldn't get a kill here. Monkey comes on shore, he spotted it, he focuses with the microwave laser, and bam! Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Skyron is ejected from the game. That Monkey Lord's still alive with around 18,000 HP. Strutting towards the naval factories of Yuki. These things have been dishing out so much hurt. If he could take down that T3, that would be ideal. Fill up on ranking points from all this build capacity that's just sitting there. I can hear some Ravagers going off, so he definitely wants to try and take that down before he loses his monkey. Indeed he will. Finish that off. Oh my god, I thought he wasn't going to for a minute. Ravagers firing on shore. If he could strut this left, he doesn't know though. If he could get that out in the water, he could kill Yuki, and then surely that would be game for Team 1. But you can see lots of things kicking off in the air over on the right-hand side as well. There's a couple of galaxies on the field for Wazzle. But Yuki is just swatting down those broadswords from Naoto with his ASFs. And a lot of Riptides from Russian Geek now making landfall on the forward island of Wazzle. Monkey still alive though on 6,200 hit points. Summit Fire coming in from across the map just gets another important rank of veterancy that's just given him a huge chunk of health back. Meanwhile, Riptide's going to town on Wazzle's base. And so much build capacity on that factory. A third galaxy is up and running. He needs to start overcharging those Riptides if he can. Just to get the galaxy firing it. Finally, the Monkey Lord goes down the left-hand side, capitulating to broadsword fire and long-range summit fire. But look at those Riptides clean up that build capacity. Gonna swap these around since you get better sound on the left-hand screen. Finally, a summit going down there from the long-range galaxy fire. So I think it was the right call of Wazzle switching up to the galaxies. You can see how much trouble he's having getting those galaxies online, constantly getting disrupted by those Riptides. Cerberus from onshore is thinning them out bit by bit, but there's a whole group more just come in from the right-hand side. T2 sonar system biting the dust, and those Riptides will make landfall on the right-hand side, but they will meet up with a broadsword from Naoto, which will be very bad for their health indeed. And another summit in place, dishing out hurt from long range. And if only that monkey could have come across and finished off Yuki's comm. He's actually working on another couple of experimentals. He's got a Fat Boy in production. He's got an Atlantis in production. And he's maneuvered a very ill-looking broadsword into place to kill that T2 power gen just before that T2 static flak emplacement of Sorodolov's that has been transferred in control gets it taken out. But these broadswords are not helping the situation as far as Wazzle's concerned. 51,000 HP versus 47,000 HP. A lot of extra hit points on that UEF battleship, and now there's Riptides coming into the fray as well. I fear for that galaxy's health. Could probably go back to single screen now. The amount of activity has died down dramatically. This is not going to be good at all for Wazzle's battleship. It's got a whole bunch of Riptides focusing in on him. Very little he can do about it with fire coming in from the summit. One volley finishes it off. Kaboom. And Team 1 back again in a difficult situation. You can see a few broadswords focusing in on the Russian Geek's ACU. He's getting a lot of reps from engineers he's got in the area. Should have put one of the broadswords maybe on the build capacity to stop him doing this. Oh, he was down to around 3,200 hit points when that shield went up. There was a few more broadswords to come in. He might have got him. There's too much flak in the area now. Too much shielding. There goes that challenge. And the Riptides on the island of Wazzle again focusing in on that comm. He's plummeting down to 7,000 HP. Needs to overcharge. I don't know if he's got any power storage left. We'll take a very quick look at what he has got. He doesn't have any power storage left, so overcharge is out of the question. Finally manages to deal with him, but look at what's left of his base. Very little indeed. Knock that back up to +3 as we expect a lower. I still can't believe this number of P-gens. That's ridiculous. Have you ever seen so many power generators built by one player? That's outrageous. Lost a few of them in that Monkey Lord attack. Did lose his T3 factory, but not before that summit was out here dishing out so much hurt, got out. Now Wazzle's crossing the water with his Salems. Russian Geek looking a lot healthier than he did a minute ago, up to around 9,000 hit points. Senses danger as the first few shots come on from those Salems. There's nothing in terms of PD, sorry, in terms of land defense, and there's no power generation, power storage either up and running for Russian Geek. So there's no threat from the overcharge for the moment. He's spamming up Ravagers as best he can. There's one Triad in place for the moment. He's starting work on another shield. Needs to move these Salems forward a little bit and take out these shields. Oh, he just doesn't have enough. He's got another Salem involved as well. Broadswords coming in from Naoto, sensing that there may be an opening here. Needs to take out these shields. Both of them go down. There are a couple of air cleaners and a SAM in place though, which will be too much. And with that Ravager now in play, no chance of them scoring here. I say that, he's down to 2,000 HP. He's got to do a little bit of micro. And the shields get up in place once again. Finally, that Salem goes down. So Team 1 just can't finish Russian Geek off at all. Must be really annoying. And now Wazzle spamming up to T3 air as best he can. Looks like he's going all air at this point. He's got a couple of fusions online. There's one fusion in place for Naoto, and he's working on another. And now a couple of land factories as well. There's still T3 Navy here for Naoto. He's not using it currently. Taking a look at how these guys are doing in terms of eco. Slow it down a little bit while we're checking. Wazzle got an income of 72 mass. Naoto has got an income of 67. Yuki, on the other hand, has got an income of 143 mass. Russian Geek is on 163. That's madness. Or is he reclaiming? Looks like he's reclaiming quite a lot at the moment, so we can't say. Yeah, he's actually on 52. I was going to say, there's no way he could be up that high. So saw that reclaim counter going up, but we're seeing some strap bombers now. So Wazzle feeling that the only real option at this point is to go for some kind of snipe. So he's producing ASFs as quickly as he possibly can. So he got the power to do it. What's he bottlenecking on? He doesn't quite have the power. Could do with one more fusion in place. He's just about surviving. And now Ravagers going up on the shore. Seems like it might be out of the question for Team 1 to get more Salems on land or any kind of cruisers in range. They just don't have the build capacity in place. They don't have the infrastructure to spam up large armies. These two teams really have decimated each other. There's very little left between them in terms of military assets. It's all just now eco, trying to get in play to build stuff quickly enough to finish them off. It sometimes does happen like that. Lots of build capacity back on that island for Wazzle, working on those wrecks, getting that all important. There's a lot of mass out here. He can't get to it though because of these Coopers. Shred the NGs as they come close. But look at that, you've got an Atlantis down here. You've got about 4 battleships in the area. Another battleship over here. I don't know why he hasn't got build capacity in here. So much mass that's ready to reclaim. But that fat boy finished for Yuki, has crossed the left-hand side of the map and is making its way into sensitive territory, so shall we put it that way. That gets in range of this base. It could be in trouble, although of course we've got these strap bombers for Wazzle, so he could potentially take that out in one pass, but he looks like he's going somewhere. He's got a mission planned. Can he see the commander? It looks like he's going straight for Yuki's commander. We'll slow this down as the bombers come in. Lots of flak going up and just annihilate all of them. Oh my god, that's outrageous. Yuki barely touched. Still 15,000 HP on the comm, looking good. It's almost like the strap bombs impacted on the top of the shield. I didn't think that that was a problem with regular shield gens. Certainly I know that happens when you try and take strap bombers anywhere near the experimental shield gens when you have that mod activated. But I don't know, it looked like, I guess the flak all fired up from all of this flak at the front plane, and because they were so bunched, the rear groups of planes just lapped it up maybe. I don't know, Answer's on a postcard about that one. And I think it's time to get these other strap bombers in the air. Wazzle, this fat boy could cause untold misery. Currently working on this Salem class. That goes down. Now your build capacity is in jeopardy, and there's a T3 mass extractor that he can't afford to lose. I can't believe he's still got these in play. Another one down here, which could potentially be lost as well. Loads of engineers going pop. Oh my god, get your strap bombers in there ASAP. They're on their way. Generally, fat boys don't fare too well against large portions of strap bombers. Of course, they've got a lot of air coverage coming in from UK. Yuki seems to have the only, well, I was about to say the only meaningful horde of ASFs, but actually Naoto has a fair few as well. I don't think he's going to be able to save the strap bombers. He's at least managed to deplete that shield. Another strap bomber coming off the works, and he strays into range for all these Ravagers actually, so he didn't actually have to worry about it too much. Yuki overextended with that experimental and ate up all of that Gatling fire. Cooper's now up here on the right hand side for Yuki, working on this T3 naval factory. The pace at which continents move apart, slowly taking that down. In comes one reinforcing Salem. Manages to deal with those Coopers. Finally, someone is looking to get some of the wreck, and it's not actually a member of Team 1, it's Russian Geek who's got his guys all the way forward, and we have a battle cruiser operational. It's come across the map, it's what he's producing. He's working on another one of them as well. But I don't know if he's going to get a lot done with it. He's taking a lot of strat bomb fire. Ouch. Salem's so very powerful indeed. Cooper's just not getting the job done against it. And finally recognizing that he was indeed having power issues, Wazzle's been on an immense power spamming mission. They need to take out Yuki as best they can, as quickly as they can. That's the only thing in their way, and Yuki's actually working on a nuke launcher. He says enough's enough as we approach the 50-minute mark in this game. Feels like not much has happened in the last 15 minutes of it or so, maybe 20. I think that's mainly just because they've depleted each other's forces so much. They lack killing power. Don't really have an efficient way to generate units. And another battlecruiser online. This one pretty heavily damaged from that strap bomb attack. Both guys just ecoing really hard. And Naoto's actually switched out to making strats as well. It's at that time of the game when they must feel it is like their only option. And the nuke launcher is in place and building. A huge question as to how long that takes to get a missile in it. I sort of feel though, with the abilities that Yuki's had over the course of this game, he's been putting out the most damage. If he just focused on units, he should be able to deal with these two without too much problems, or too many problems. And that Cooper there, not getting microed, succumbing to reclaim fire from Wazzle. But look at this, a huge horde of strat bombers has been built up from Yuki coming around the top. He did have a plan, and it not only took me by surprise, it took Wazzle by surprise as well. So many strats. Where was he hiding those? He must have been hiding them in the Atlantis. So that is what he's been doing. He's been working up a snipe of his own. There are ASFs in play for Naoto. The question is, will he get another pass? How many strat bombers went up? You can see a few back here. There, Naoto's. There's a load still alive, and they're coming in for a second pass on Naoto. He is surely done for. Kaflooey! Strats falling out of the sky. Well done, Yuki. Very well done indeed. He really did carry his team on that one. A little bit slow towards the end of that one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it all the same. I certainly did. There will be more to come tomorrow, but as always, in the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.